Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Friday. Whew. You made it to the end of the week, and now you can celebrate with an episode of Guerilla Sports Off Ice and then an Avalanche game coming up tonight as they are set to host the Nashville Predators at Ball Arena as the homestand rolls on. My name is Jesse Montano. You're going to be joined by Meghan Angley here in just a moment. Mackenzie Blackwood is back in net for the Avs tonight. We're going to unpack where the Avs are at with some of these injuries, and then we are going to take a little bit of a step back and look around the league. We talked earlier in the week about the fact that you might start to see some trade news sooner rather than later. Well, general manager of the New York Rangers, Chris Drury, Stanley Cup champion Chris Drury, 2001 Colorado Avalanche, put out a letter to fans this morning acknowledging the New York Rangers' struggles and said the team will be on a retool path between now and the deadline. We are going to start taking a look at maybe what all of that might mean or what it might not for the Avalanche. It's going to be a great show for you guys. Friday afternoon, game day. Let's do it. Want to start by reminding you guys about our great partners over at Furniture Row. If you like the way our brand new set looks, you got to head on over to Furniture Row. Family-owned business offering high-quality home furniture at an incredible value, all with a hassle-free shopping experience. From living rooms and dining rooms to bedroom and outdoor furniture, everything you need is under one roof. Over 100 locations nationwide. They are built on terrific selection and unbeatable value. Real furniture, real value. Furniture Row. Make sure you head on over and check them out. Also, you guys have been hearing me talk about them for months. Want to remind you guys about our great friends over at RefiJet. Did you know that you could refinance your auto loan with RefiJet? You could save around $150 every single month, all with just a soft credit pull and zero hassle. It's lower payments, flexible terms. RefiJet does the work. You get the savings. You guys hear me talk about it every episode. The best way to support us and everything we're doing here at Guerilla Sports, including our coverage out in the field, is to show some love and support to our partners. Head on over refijet.com/sports. Fill out a form. See if they can't help you start the year off by saving some money. And like I said, maybe getting some cash back in your pocket after the holidays. Who couldn't use that? refijet.com/sports. It's the faster, easier way to refinance. Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome in. Did you like that?
No.
Oh, all right. Won't do it again. All right. So that and Beatmates are out, apparently. I'm Jesse Montano. That's Meghan Angley. It's Guerilla Sports Off Ice Friday afternoon. And Meghan, it feels a little quiet around the league right now, but I feel like that's not going to stay for very long. But Mackenzie Blackwood back in action tonight. Nashville Predators are in town. Jared Bednar said this is a team that has played them tough and has actually, even beaten them already earlier this season. So he said they got to make sure to be ready. How are you feeling? Are you ready for tonight?
Yeah, I think it should be a good game. I think Nashville has played Colorado kind of hard. And, the series favors the Avs as it stands, but the Preds have been on a little bit of a roll in their last 10, 6-4-0 with 2 wins coming into tonight over Edmonton and Washington, but both just 1 goal difference games. So I think it should be close, and I imagine from their perspective, there's a confidence building, morale boosting kind of deal. And then from the Avs perspective, it's, can we get some more depth scoring going? Obviously the top guys have continued to be excellent for them. So I think there's a couple storylines to pluck from inside this game. And I imagine too, just on the heels of the way that Toronto game ended for the Avs with some time off in between, they'll probably want to issue some kind of responses too, and get back in a win column decisively.
Yeah, you've got 3 days off here of rest. Yes, they've been practicing and things like that for a couple of those days, but really for the most part, yeah, there's no excuse here. for the Avs to at least come out and have a good effort. Like you said, I expect that Nashville is going to come out with a really strong game. We talked about it on the last show. Like every single team is going to give the Avs their absolute best. Every single team wants to win those games. You saw it in the emotion that the Toronto Maple Leafs played with it. That was a big deal for them to win that game. And the Nashville Predators, I'm sure, going to be no different. I was just pulling it up. The Preds, the Preds, Megan, have gotten themselves back in it here. They were really kind of toiling at the bottom of the Western Conference standings there for a while, but going into tonight, 46 games played, same as the San Jose Sharks and 2 fewer than the Utah Mammoth, who currently hold down the 2 wild card spots. Nashville Predators sitting with 48 points, chasing right now San Jose Sharks with 51. So this is a team that is not playing meaningless games. They're not just circling the drain at the bottom of the conference. This is a team that, is looking to pick up points to get themselves solidly in that conversation.
Did you know how many former Avs are on Nashville? It's not meant to be hard trivia. I was just staying later for the optional morning skate they had. Justin Barron.
Okay, so there's already one that I wasn't thinking, because I've got Eustace. O'Reilly, obviously.
Wow. I wasn't even counting him.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Really?
Yes, because I was just kind of going up. You'll see why in a second. I was going on fringier guys.
Oh, okay.
You said Eustace.
Yep.
Jost, obviously among them.
Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting Tyson Jones.
And then Andreas Englund was recalled.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Such a nice guy.
No, so nice.
Really like Andreas Englund.
Really he was really nice. And so I don't mean, there's just a lot of guys who didn't quite, except for Ryan O'Reilly. I feel like his situation's a bit different, but not so different. Didn't quite find their way in the organization. Like I was always high on Justin Barron as a prospect. Not to cut you off completely, but like what an interesting arc Justin Barron has taken, right? Like was such a highly touted prospect. Enough to yield an Arturi Lehkonen. Like when that trade went down, there were parts of the fan base that were like, oh, I really like Justin Barron. Like he's going to be a great defenseman. And he's stuck in the NHL, but like he's been moved again and just never quite became, I think, exactly what people thought he would be 4 years ago. Just very interesting. Sorry to completely derail everything you were saying. I kind of derailed all of it, but like, hey, do you know how many former Avs are on the Preds? Because it kind of surprised me this morning just running through that little short list. Oh, and Trennan's in Minnesota now, right? Yeah. Okay. Came from Nashville. That's what I'm thinking. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely attack of the former Avs. Yeah. I mean, honestly, and Jost is the one that I just keep forgetting he's in the league. His work ethic was always so good that I imagine it's got to be just kind of the cultural character add in a lot of ways too. I think he just works so hard. It's hard not to justify trying to find a place if your team has a need. And it's why Megan, I really did. I thought it would eventually work out. Same. For Tyson Jost. Not even necessarily in Colorado. To the point that when they traded him, I said, oh, here we go. He'll go figure it out somewhere and be, I always said he'll have a career year where he hits 60, 65 points, but otherwise he'll live in the, 40 to 50 point range and he'll figure it out somewhere because he just works too damn hard not to. And I think Tyson Jost is such a great example of how thin the margins are. Yeah, it's been hard for him to separate from the other guys who also work very hard as forward depth options. So I'm glad, though, that, you're looking at the depth on the Nashville side of things, and I think he makes perfect sense in their bottom six. Sure. Truthfully. Yeah, absolutely. Who was I going to compare it to that I thought would work? Doesn't matter. I was gonna draw a parallel to something there with Jost of
You just thought it would work. He fits in the depth. It
The other
doesn't matter.
thing I was thinking when you were talking about the trade is I get why it was Nico Sturm, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get why Nico Sturm offered something different from what Jost provided. But in my head, they could have won it with either one when it was all said and done. And maybe that is a disservice to what Nico Sturm provided. But, he just kind of rotated in and out, and he brought a level of physicality that Jost didn't. So that
Right.
might be really what I'm not giving enough credit here.
People have heard me tell this story a billion times if they listen to our show, so I apologize if you're hearing me tell it again. But again, one of the first things Nico Sturm said to us when he got here, I'm tough to play against, and I'm not tough to play against in that I'm going to put you into the third row every time, but I'm going to finish my check, I'm going to be on the forecheck, and I'm going to be in your hip pocket every single shift. And again, not that Tyson Jost didn't do that. Nico Sturm just did it on a little bit of a different level. He was bigger.
Oh, yeah, he was more effective.
He was more effective.
And that's not it's just physics, really.
Right. Good in the dot, too. And again, Tyson Jost, just smaller guy, just never fully got there for him.
Anyways, sorry for the Avs. What's the word I'm looking for? Like Avs something tour, former Avs tour? I don't know. Ex-Avs tour.
Yeah.
Ex-Avs tour.
Ex-Avs tour.
Justus Annunen signs an extension with the Predators. I'm happy for him.
Former Avs on tour. I don't know. We'll think of something.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, guys. That could have been way cooler. And she sticks the landing.
Nailed
Avs
it.
Revenge tour.
Nailed it.
So that is something for the Avs to be considerate of tonight.
Mm-hmm. Maybe this is what I was going to say. How it didn't work out for Kiefer Sherwood in Nashville either. Just adding to his anomalous behavior.
He, it kind of loops into the Jost conversation because he had to undergo an identity change to be effective at this level. And the Kiefer Sherwood you see today is hard to play against. He plays a little bit with an edge, walks that line, toes it, kind of frustratingly at times. And he did not play like that in Colorado or in Nashville.
No.
He always had puck skill. That was not deniable. You look at his points when he was with the Eagles, he was a points leader for them, really huge contributor. But he just didn't play with that little bit of edge in his game that he does now. And I think that's the thing that separated him from the other guys trying to justify full-time spots in the league.
Have you looked at what Tyson Jost has done production-wise in the last couple of years?
I've glanced at it.
It's not pretty.
Yikes.
It's not good. Yikes is the perfect word for it. I didn't realize it was to this extent. Hasn't put up more than 9 points.
I'm sorry?
In 3 years.
Holy mackerel.
9, single digit, 9 points. Hasn't scored more than 4 goals since that same.
All right.
3 years ago.
This is a great transition point then to bring it back to the Avs.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Brindley.
Yep, let's do it.
He's hit a little bit of a lull, if you will, offensively after finding ways to contribute in limited minutes to start the year, like kind of exceeding expectation in that way. 11 points, 5 goals, 6 assists through 32 games. And I will count this as his first real full season pro. It's already been hampered by injury, which stinks. I even feel like I have to add an asterisk there. But his, last year, which was really his first year pro, 1 game with the Blue Jackets, spent it in the American League and dealt with injury, causing him to miss pretty significant time. Production was difficult for him to get it to translate at the next level. So I just think the start he had offensively, finding ways to impact the game, was really impressive. And so even though it's gone a little bit quiet, you see that like a player in Jost who has more experience, maturity, works very hard, a bit undersized. It is hard to be effective at this level when you have those traits on paper. And And then you add in the fact that Brindley's a very young player who's still learning the ropes in a lot of ways. I think I don't want to take for granted then what Brindley has done through this point, and what he's capable of doing in this league, even though he's hit maybe a quieter period of his year.
He's reminding me a little bit right now of Sam Malinsky last year, in that, like, I think this break for Gavin Brindley coming up here in, geez Louise, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think it's going to be really, really good for him. I think he just looks ready to me for a little bit of a reset. With the point you were just making about, really, this is his first real pro season. Missed just shy of half the year last year in the AHL. Only played one NHL game. Played one NHL game 2 seasons ago at the end of the year. And then...
Oh, wow. April. Yeah.
And then played the whole season in the American Hockey League, which is even still an adjustment going to the NHL. As vaguely points out in the chat, he's never played this many games at this point in the season. He's played with injury. He's already played 32, and you got half the way to go still. He's also never, and this is what I think is such an underrated difference between the American Hockey League and the NHL. For the most part, and the Eagles challenged this week, for the most part, you play twice a week on the weekends.
Right. With
the occasional weekday series mixed in there occasionally. It's difficult to go from that to playing every other day, practices, recovery, travel, because keep in mind, the AHL, they travel kind of regionally, right? They only go so far. College, same thing. The travel is even more regional, and when they go far, it's kind of a big deal. It's a whole thing. They go the whole week and whatever. This is, you're out to the East Coast, then you're right back, and then you have practice the next day, and recovery and training and meetings, and then it's another game. And I just think that we're seeing a player who's going through the rigmarole and the ups and downs of his first NHL season. And I think we've understandably seen him, in my opinion, hit a wall. He's just kind of hit a wall in terms of his effectiveness. It's not that he's playing poorly or not giving you good minutes. He's just not standing out in the way that he was a month and a half ago. And so you and I did speculate, hopefully he has some refundable plane tickets and hotel stays for the Olympic break, because I could see a world where the Avs say, hey, the AHL All-Star break happens on this week, so we're going to let you take a week. Woof, catch your breath, take a week, relax. Yeah, go down to Mexico for a couple days, sit on the beach, get some sun, whatever. But then we're actually going to have you come back and get back to work with the Eagles and play some games, get some big minutes, get feeling good. And then once we're back up and going at the end of February, we're going to bring you back in. I think he could benefit from a week off. And then I could see him maybe benefiting from going and running the table a bit at the American League level.
I really want to see him get the benefit of regular practice, because I think that it's been great for the Avs to have the optional practices to make sure guys aren't getting worn down too quickly. But I think that a young player benefits from getting those reps in more regularly at the start. And I think experience then with the Eagles will get him back into a little bit more of a rhythm with that. A little bit more of the hands-on too, because he's undoubtedly still getting it. Like, it sounds like it's by committee, at all hands on deck, in terms of helping to bring Gavin Brindley up to speed. Because I mentioned it at Morning Skate, but this is a really mature Avs team with experienced players, most of which have been in the league for a long time. It was funny to me then to look at the Avs fourth line in the playoffs with Parker Kelly, Drury, and OC. That's actually like one of the least experienced lines represented. And you don't even sweat it because they play like veterans.
Right.
And so all that to say, Brindley is a bit of an outlier then. He's just turned 21, going back to October. So when I think of what young players need when they're first cracking into the league, and they're truly young, because even Malinsky, he joins from college, so he's a bit unconventional in that sense. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit more mature. I just imagine that having the Eagles right up the road is a resource.
Mhm.
I don't view it as a demotion.
No.
I view it as a resource to help a young player just continue to get the nutrients that they need. I think he needs some nutrients.
Some nutrients. Well, and again, like that's you're 100% right. And that's my whole thing with why I think it could benefit him, not because it's a punishment, but like you said, these guys, they're not practicing very often. They're in situations where, like that last game, Jared Bednar is going to ride the top guys. Gavin Brindley is going to kind of get, as that bench shrinks, that's going to be his minutes. So just, can you get him a week off, and then can you get him a couple weeks where it just feels, I don't know, semi-normal for him, right? Where it's just like, go to practice, get some reps in, play 20 minutes in a couple games, for the Eagles, and then come back with all of that you just absorbed from practicing and being with the Eagles, but also from the time off, letting his body rest and recover. Because I was mentioning to you just the other day, Megan, I do feel like as he's maybe become a little bit less effective from a production standpoint, he's starting to like throw his body around more and get more involved, trying to be impactful, which I appreciate. But as a player who's already missed a couple games with injury, being a little bit smaller guy, we've talked about it. I'd like to see him rein that in a bit. I'm going to play Jared Bednar from today, actually. I was just going to pull just your question about Gavin Brindley, but it was such a short availability.
Yeah, because Corey starts it off.
Right. Uncharacteristically short for Jared. So I'm just going to play this, and then when we come back, we got a super chat that we're going to get to from Vaguely Sober, the one and only. But here's Jared Bednar this morning from Avalanche Morning Skate, talking things about tonight's game, what the Avs are expecting, but also keys in on Gavin Brindley a couple of times this morning.
Just checking this morning, Ross Colton was on the ice. Is he good to go tonight?
He is, yeah.
Okay. And Blackwood in net?
Yes.
This team has played you guys hard, and they're one of the hotter teams in the league. Just, I guess, what have you seen from them the last few weeks?
Competitive, right? So they had the slow start to the season. Now they're a highly competitive team. They're in every game they're playing right now. They've already beat us once, and so we got to be prepared to play tonight. One couple things they do real well is they bring the puck to your net hard and put numbers on it, and they can be a handful at your net front, so we'll have to be prepared for that.
I think Gavin Brindley hasn't scored in like a month, and I know that even at the beginning of the year when he was collecting points, you think you were probably talking about some of the other stuff in his game that wasn't. Just have you kind of been satisfied with how he's playing throughout his season?
Yeah, I'm satisfied for sure. I think I think he's a guy that can provide us production, so he's gone a little bit cold here recently. Different line mates, different amounts of ice time in some of those games, so I can't put it all on him. He runs shorthanded, and if we shorten the bench up a little bit, then he loses some ice time here and there. But I still expect him to be a guy that can help us produce on a nightly basis, and it's highly involved. But I still like his game away from the puck a lot.
Jesse, you guys got a long break here coming up in a couple weeks. I'm sure it's going to be pretty welcome. How do you make sure the group doesn't look past whatever it is these next 10 games or start losing focus on that?
We'll just monitor it. I mean, we've been really good this year, coming in focused at almost every game we play, right? So that's the trend that we've had, and I think I have confidence in our team to stay focused until the break. We'll take the break when the break starts.
You coach a really experienced and mature group. A lot of these guys have been around the league for a long time, so Brindley is kind of an outlier in that sense.
Yeah.
What kind of additional consideration maybe do you give him or check in with him to make sure he's getting everything that he needs as a young player at that stage?
Yeah, sporadic, but all of our coaches kind of like check in with him. It's almost the same as any other player. Like, I like to give him the respect of any other player, even though he's a young guy. He's played at a high level, and he's got a lot of talent. We know he fits in here, so we monitor his game. We go over things with him that are looking good, not looking good, whatever it is. But he's been pretty consistent. it's not all about just producing points for us. Like, I want to make sure the other areas of his game are tight, and they are. The effort's still there. He's a relentless player, and to me, you just keep doing those things and take care of your process, and then the production will take care of itself. So I don't get too excited if he gets hot for a couple of games, and I don't get too down if he's cold for a few games. I'd like to see him break out of this, and like many players, it's a matter of getting one and then stringing them together. So I think he's capable of doing that.
Ivan gets the call back up here tonight too. I know you're probably looking for something specific from some of those call-ups from the Eagles. What deserved another call-up for Evan?
Well, he's played well when he's been here. Again, like, he's played some games where he's at the 10-minute mark and everything's looking good. Sometimes we shorten the bench and it's 5. Like the game in Toronto the other night wasn't a great indicator of what I think he can provide for us. I like the center because I want to keep Kelly on the wing on the third line. I think that line's starting to find some chemistry and doing a nice job on both sides of the puck. So that all goes into it, right? There's only so many centers we have that we can call up, and he's doing a nice job of it right now. So he's back.
So he's back. Megan, a couple things there, really, and I'm sure there's discussions that are had behind the scenes a bit, but like Jared Bednar does not seem very concerned about Gavin Brindley maybe hitting a little bit of that wall here. And I think that's probably because he's got a good understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, because when I talk about maturity, what I like about Brindley is I don't think there are moments where I've pinpointed that is because of immaturity, whether it be a play, just the way he carries himself, I think fits very well inside the Avs locker room. And so really the only thing lately that was of concern was some of the recklessness. And I truly just don't want it to result in any further injury at this point, because I do think he still continues to consistently play with a lot of effort and compete. So I have so much appreciation for what his game is and how it can add something a little bit different to the bottom of the lineup that I think they'll appreciate, later in the season. And that's why it's good too for him to fine tune it. And I think with the offensive side of things, because it is a component of his game, that's where it's not so different from wanting to see Victor Olofsson contribute a little bit more. It's because he's capable of it. And so similar thing with Gavin Brindley, having seen him contribute more offensively, even in limited minutes. I just want to see him, kind of get back to that rhythm, being on the doorstep of chances, and being really intentional with everything that he's doing. And I think the call out about the rigor of the schedule, the adjustment that it requires is such a real thing. So you've been the one to say it. You don't think anyone will benefit from the upcoming break more than Gavin Brindley. Yep. I think we will appreciate the player coming out of it a whole bunch.
I completely agree. I think we already have the case study on what Sam Malinsky was able to do last year coming out of the Four Nations break. Vaguely, let's see it. Got the super chat from Vaguely Sober. Kim Weiss becoming the second woman bench boss at the pro level. We will actually have an Eagles pod coming out here about an hour. In about an hour, we get into a bunch of the Kim Weiss stuff. Megan has been on that from the jump. She exchanged a couple texts with Kim earlier today. So we've got plenty of great Eagles content coming your guys' way. Like I said, as quickly as we get this one wrapped and I can get on top of it and get it out. We got it coming your way.
I don't have like a proper quote from Kim, but when I was texting Kevin McGlew about just getting some confirmation on some details. So she joins as a third assistant coach, rounding out that coaching group then with Branham and Army, still as assistant coaches with Coach Letestu there as the head coach. And, he said she does a ton of work for the team, and most of it is always stuck behind the scenes, is what Kevin McGlew said. And that's kind of what everyone has said to me too when I asked, like, her role as video coach. They're like, she's so much more than that. You don't even understand the half of it. So I am just so happy for Coach Kim Weiss. No, it's great. And like I said, if you want to hear more about Kim Weiss and everything going on with the Eagles, we will have another show coming out here in about an hour. Whole first half of it, we spend digging into Kim Weiss and how she ended up in this situation and why this probably isn't her last stop on the way to the top. Megan, we're going to
wind things down a little bit here. And I just want to talk about a couple quick things, and then we're going to get out 5-10 more minutes. One, Mackenzie Blackwood back in net tonight for the Avs. He officially was activated off of injured reserve. He's getting back in action here tonight. So I'd like your thoughts on that. But then second, Ross Colton missed practice yesterday, had a day-to-day upper body injury. Well, hey, maybe for the first time ever, day-to-day plays out. Day yesterday, wasn't feeling well. Day today, good enough to go. Ross Colton, Mackenzie Blackwood in the lineup for the Avs tonight.
Yeah, really excited to get Mackenzie Blackwood back in the fold. I think the Avs have done a great job of holding it down in his brief absence, but he just, in addition to Wedgwood, brings so much trust, confidence. Like, you just see it in the way that the Avs play with him. So excited to see him return to action. And then on the Colton side of things, he looked good at morning skate, so that was encouraging. And I just imagine it's the time of year too where they're probably looking at the record, the depth that they have. It's not worth needlessly pushing anything. So I feel good about Colton playing. And he's a guy that we've kind of talked about too. Like, it's not so much that his game is stagnated, it's just how much he raises it when he gets to play up in the lineup. So I really want to see him to continue to build confidence, because more than anything, Jared Bednar has described him as a streaky player. I think the thing that gets Ross Colton back to feeling like himself again is when he's getting on the score sheet and you could see the difference in the confidence of which he plays with, that I could see it being beneficial, even if when they get a little bit healthier and he is back in a third line role, if he's continuing to put up points and goes back into that role with a little confidence behind him, I think that could translate to some better things for Ross Colton.
He reminds me of Alex Ovechkin in just that he loves to score goals.
Don't qualify that any further.
Yeah. Ross Colton reminds me of Alex Ovechkin in the way that he just loves to score goals. You know what I mean? Like, puck goes in the net, and if he's on the ice for it, his mouth is all the way open, and he's just so hyped. So I'm with you. I think that is something that really, gets his motor running. And then I just wanted to say on Mackenzie Blackwood, like, look, he's the save percentage and goals against leader in the NHL. So there's obvious reasons why it's a positive thing that he's back in the lineup for the Avs tonight. But I also, and I told him this yesterday, or maybe it was on Monday, just there's a different energy when he's in the locker room. Like, you talked last week about Brock Nelson being comedic relief from like a leadership standpoint. I think Mackenzie Blackwood has taken a little bit of like the Mikko Rantanen levity role. Yeah. Where just because, Mikko used to, it was one of the funniest things about him. If he wasn't in an interview, he had something to say to most guys that walked in. Hey, well, what about that? Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. I've told the story that was so funny how he was sitting there petitioning guys, Mikko Rantanen, to give him their tickets because he had a bunch of family in town and he didn't want to buy more tickets. So he was seeing which guys weren't using it. He was standing by the door. Are you using your tickets? Are you using your tickets? Can I have them? Okay, go tell Brendan. Are you using your? And it's just so funny. Mackenzie Blackwood does that. Not the ticket thing, but specifically. But like, one, he sits there and kind of holds court with media, but then as each guy comes in, it feels like he has something to say to every guy that walks in. And again, we don't know what it's like during game time or whatever, but I do just think that it's good in a room full of so many veterans and so many serious personalities. And I think Mackenzie gets serious close to game time. I think it's nice to have a guy that's just in there breaking the tension, making guys laugh. Even this morning, Ross Colton came off the ice really serious, and Mackenzie's just barking at him, and Ross tried not to, but could not help from cracking a smile. And I just think that's a good element to have in a locker room like this.
From a goalie too, the way that he's bringing everybody into the mix, to include Val Nichushkin, right? Like, highlighting that friendship is probably a tough nut to crack. But they found common ground, they definitely, even despite a language barrier, they found common ground with one another. And with Mackenzie Blackwood, to your point, in the same breath, Jared Bednar has talked about his intensity as a competitor akin to McKinnon. And it's not something like we're really privy to see, but I trust in whatever Jared Bednar is seeing in Mackenzie when he's in goaltender mode. Like there's teammate mode Mackenzie that we see in the locker room, and he is very silly, goofy times. But I do think there's that other side of him that is why he's so good in net for them. And I certainly imagine the Avs appreciate that part of him too, but the levity is important because it wasn't just Mikko Rantanen, it was Byram too. And so it's like, I think between the antics of the pranks maybe with Brock Nelson and the levity of Mackenzie Blackwood, you have now made up for the silliness of Byram and Mikko Rantanen.
The silliness of both of them. And newly punctual Mackenzie Blackwood. We'll leave it at that. All right. We got 2 minutes here, and then CJ is coming in behind us here. He's going to be on with Chad Brown, talking Buffs, talking NFL. Great show coming up for you guys right here on Guerilla Sports, coming in right behind us. Megan, a quick thought. We talked about the fact that Artemi Panarin's name has been floated out there. Well, in addition to a letter being sent by general manager Chris Drury to fans saying we're going to be entering into a retool, sounds like there was a separate meeting held with Artemi Panarin where the New York Rangers informed him they would not be offering him a new contract to stay in Midtown Manhattan. So odds are he will now be on the move ahead of the deadline. And then you pointed out, we saw during the Jared Bednar interview when it was playing, Nick Kyprios reporting Jason Robertson also potentially on the trade block. We alluded to it earlier in the week that you could see some trade talk picking up sooner rather than later, as there's a deadline before the Olympic break and then the NHL trade deadline coming out of the Olympic break. What do you make of a lot of what we've seen kind of come out of Dallas and New York in particular today?
I think I love when the league gets a little bit dramatic. So I'm fine with the drama of it all, but I'm not really linking anything to Colorado. To include Panarin, where there's maybe been whispers of that previously, I just don't think that's the way the Avs have operated. Typically, when you hear a name linked to the Avs, it's always after the fact. It was never leading up to it. And then what direction they typically go in is just not one that you saw coming, unless you're me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And so, for those reasons, it's fun. I think that even just seeing Darren Dreger report of teams interested in Panarin, Florida, Dallas, Vegas, kind of all tracks to me that those would be teams interested in him, notably Colorado not among them in that list. So I do think the Avs will be active in some kind of trade, but I think there's a lot of smoke. There's a lot of illusion. I don't think this really links to the Avs just yet.
And to your point, what this front office has shown, led by Chris McFarland, is if there's a big name player that they think makes them better, they will be in on it. They will kick tires. They'll ask on price.
Yeah.
But to your point, they're always going to do their homework.
Right. Like thinking back to the reveal after the fact of JT Miller being the Avs being in those conversations. I, for one, am pretty glad that didn't work out.
Well, it just kind of underscored what we were saying of, hey, this is probably coming down the pipeline quicker maybe than people realize. The NHL trade deadline's March 7th, but there is a trade freeze before the Olympic break that the Avs took advantage of last year before the trade freeze for Four Nations by trading Mikko Rantanen. So don't be surprised to see some teams, if not the Avs, getting active here over the next week and a half to 2 weeks. And today just kind of added some fuel to that fire. That's going to do it for us today, everybody. I'm Jesse Montano. She is Meghan Angley. Avs Preds tonight at Ball Arena. Megan will be there with another great intern of ours. John Riker will be on scene with Megan tonight, making everything come your guys' way. So that's going to do it. She's Megan. I'm Jesse. We've had Ashley behind the glass today. Like I said, if you guys are on the YouTube channel, make sure to stick around. CJ and Chad Brown, who's filling in for Big Al, coming up this week, or right now, not this week, right now, for some great talk ahead of a really exciting week of football. That's going to do it. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Vaguely Stats.
Bye, Vaguely.